Hello, everyone. Welcome to another series of, or actually, should I say, episode of RoStrap Dive. My name is Aero12, and before we get into this, I'd like to apologize about the 2 to 3 week hiatus that I took for this. I think it's because of my game that I'm taking hiatuses like this. There's a lot going on. I mean, sheesh. It's understandable, but it's still no excuse. So, I apologize for that. I will do better next time to keep up with this series. And as a result, we're doing 3, maybe 4 things in one. OOP, which involves signals, Janitor, and PseudoInstance. And today we also might do color. As you can see here, you can insinuate that based on what we have, which is a bluish green and something else. So let's actually get into it for once. First thing I'm going to do is I am going to go to my... First I'm going to play it, actually. I'm going to play it. See what we got. So what we see here is a color palette, right? Nothing serious, nothing, new. I mean, people have done it before, but it's never been done in a game like this. You can also see that the colors change on the other side to show you the selection. But however, that's not what we're dealing with here. What we are dealing with is something more serious. Yes. What do I mean by more serious? Well, let me show you. Not there, right here. This isn't just any old color palette. This is going in Crossroads Warfare. Probably going to be part of Project Gulf, or maybe a new system for dealing with skins. Not camos, skins. In which doesn't involve using textures or anything like that. Nope. That's technically bullcrap, and I don't want to put it in my game. Simple. This is going to be the replacement. If there's any skins that use colors, that could be it. So let's keep that right. Anyways, we're going to take this function and we're going to turn it into something I'll show you later. But let's get into signals. Okay. So let's see. Local signal. Resources, load library. As usual, like I showed you last time, you can load libraries using this, and you just do signal, right? Is that all? Nope. I'm going to actually be reading the RoStrap documentation first to give you an overview, and then I'm going to explain everything like it should be explained, because last time wasn't too good when it came to explanations involving this. So let's get started. This is basically like the signal that you all know from RBX library and from many different portions of the Roblox engine/API. This was originally designed by Anonymous to address 2 flaws, like it says on here. As you can see, previous versions, if they hold a reference to last arguments, which means that you can't garbage collect or clean up or prevent memory leaks from that, then that's a problem. They fixed that here. If the arguments were overridden, that would also be nice, because if you think about it, well, actually, wait, that's not nice, sorry. It's actually bad, because if it's overridden, then it's not going to give you the accurate stuff that you need from many different ones. It doesn't function like the Roblox events we all love and know. So signal.new is basically, you can do one of 2 things. You can either do it without a constructor and destructor, or with the 2 functions. Constructor, obviously, if you know it, OOP, is basically how you set up an object. It's the first thing you call in terms of that object before you start to use it for real. Destructor, you call that at the end when it's being destroyed or gotten rid of, when it's no longer in use. So basically it returns the signal. It does the same thing. Constructor is when the threads become greater than 0, and then destructor is when they become 0. You get the idea. Now, fire works just like the fire from the other signals, from the actual object that's or data type that's in Roblox. It fires a signal, passing the arguments in the waiting threads, and these are passed by reference all times. I think the reason why is, this is from my C++ training from college, if you pass it by reference, you can get the value of it, you can manipulate it, you can do all kinds of stuff with it. If you pass it by value, that's when the problem arises, because you can't really change that. Now, wait does like everything else. It returns the arguments that you need, like a tuple, and it blocks the current thread until it's fired. Very useful for when you have to deal with things such as AI having to wait for a certain thing to happen before they can do something else, instead of just using repeat loops, which can cause a lot of issues. Connect, well, it's just like the other connect, you know? You connect it with a function, which is the listener part, and then you have the arguments you can pass in if you want to. Basically, it's a script connection. You get the idea. Now, destroy is something new. They didn't have this in the original, but they have it now so that you can be able to get rid of the signal in case it's a problem. Now, it works just like any other signal that's made on Roblox. Bindable. There's an event with that. And then there's the arguments, connections, there's all this stuff. You can also disconnect from the connection just like you could in the other area. So, let me put this in action. Okay? So, what we need is a signal. So this is going to be color change equals signal dot new. Now I'm not going to put the constructor and destructor in practice, just going to put the simple stuff in because this is supposed to be simple. Alright, so color changed. Here's what happens. We'll do color changed fire UI.info.current color text color 3. And basically, this is supposed to be able to fire this. I'm not going to deal with the palette yet. So, watch what I'm going to do. To connect, you do color changed connect function color. And we'll do print color. And let's see how that works, actually. I'd love to see how it works, because it would be great. When I click bright red, you can clearly see there's a color 3 printed in the console or output. And it keeps doing it, as you can see. It works perfectly. So that is signals. Now we're going to focus on something different. What I like to call the janitor. Okay? So the janitor, it helps with actually dealing with a lot of things that you would want to get rid of at the end of its use or life cycle, right? It's like the maid from Nevermore engine, but different. This is very flexible, and it's also lightweight from most. So it cleans up connections, instances, and then it also covers use cases that are not usually covered in others, because it doesn't force you to rely on, type checking, which also we could get into, but I'll show you that trick in a little bit. But I think we're going to get into typer in the next one. This is probably going to be object-oriented programming in RoStrap 2, which is basically another revisitation of this episode. But there's type checking, and the instance can be cleaned up like this. It just doesn't let you do that. Instead, it allows you to specify the behavior and, do what you want to actually help get it destroyed. Now, Janitor is just initialized with just empty constructor. Nothing fancy or special here. But then, this is how you add in the stuff that you need to garbage collect. It could be any object, anything. Okay, as long as it's an object, and it has a destroy method. So you can add in an instance. You can add in PseudoInstance, or even, for that example, signals, connections from signals, or functions, whatever you want to do. Okay, at the end is when the functions get called, though. What you can also do is specify a name or index in which you can use to identify it and remove it when you have to remove it, if it's before the cleanup, right? So this is stop and current tween, as you can see here. And then obliterator remove basically does what I was mentioning earlier. It cleans up whatever object was set to this namespace or was set to this name or, index from the third parameter, which is this. So, yeah. And cleanup is self-explanatory. It just cleans up everything that was in the janitor. So, or you can call it like as if it was __ call, which I know very well. You can do it like that so that you don't have to use the colon, which could be pretty good. Now, linked to instance is basically like it links, or basically connects the object to an instance. And also you can allow multiple, if you allow multiple, then it won't overwrite the links. Basically, you can link many objects to this. But when it's linked, guess what happens at the end? When that object is destroyed that's linked to this, it literally cleans up everything. It's a very useful thing to use, especially for AI, where you have to link them, because if you don't, they're going to end up just messing up their own code, which is not good. So I'm going to show you this in practice just a little bit, like I did the signal, right? So we're doing local signal, or actually janitor. Yeah, janitor equals janitor. Oh, I forgot. It's resources load library, of course, janitor. And then we'll do local palette. This is not what's going to be in the object. Janitor equals janitor.new. Alright, and then here's what we got. We can do janitor add color changed. You get the idea. And I'm going to add disconnect, of course, and then we'll do janitor cleanup in like maybe 6 seconds. Or actually, I think we should do color changed. Another example, color changed weight. Yeah. So basically the color will change. Oh, wait, we got an error in a read-only table. Oh, I forgot. This is a different janitor. Palette janitor is what we need, not janitor. Don't get the two confused, because this is a property in the object, but it's only that. So blue. As you can see here, it doesn't print anything because the weight has been used, and not only that, after the weight, we cleaned up whatever connections there were, which is why you don't see any output. So keep that in mind. Anyways, let's move on to the pseudo instance. This is the fun part. This is going to be basic for now, but we will add on to it. Alright. Now if you want to select a color, that can actually happen here too. I'm actually going to add that. So I'm going to add an insert object. I'm also going to use a pseudo instance to actually deal with something. Well, or maybe I'll cover it later, but right now I'm just going to add a simple button. Simple, but very good to use around button. I'm going to add a text button. I'm going to call this text button, if I can get it there. I'm actually going to call it select color. Because the reason why I want to call it select color is because of the fact that you're going to use this to select the color that you want and then show it on in the workspace. Sorry, not on but in the workspace. So I'll say select color, make this 16, and then I'm going to condense it down 1, -20, 0, 0, 25. Yeah, that's better. And then I'm going to take that and make it blue. And I'm going to take the UI down here, make it white. And then after that, I'm going to get rid of the border pixel because I don't want that in my UI. And then once I do that, I'm going to add in, actually not even add in, rather, oh wait, RoStrap, why did you come up? Sheesh, I didn't think this would happen. I don't like clicking on the wrong thing, it just doesn't make sense. Anyways, it's 12:17, here where I live, but right now we're just going to focus on this. Okay, Roundify works. It's a really good plugin if you want to make a UI that works. So then we got select color, and then we're going to make it 0.5, actually, yeah, 0.50. The reason why I'm doing this is because this is going to actually be put at 0.4, or actually not even that, maybe 50. Yeah, 0.50. And as you can see here, it works perfectly. You can select the color. You don't have to worry about anything. Now, I think info should be roundified as well. Just keep it updated. And there you have it. A nice little round UI with some, you know, visual effects. But before we get into the next part, let us read about PseudoInstance. So, PseudoInstance.new. Well, PseudoInstance is basically the class system that's rigid, and it's based on Roblox instances. The goal here is to encapsulate the functionality that you would need, and the properties are external, but you also have another thing, internal properties, which I will show you later. So the instance basically is PseudoInstance.new, and basically it works like instance.new. But except there's arguments there, which means you could use this in the init constructor and possibly use it for whatever you wish, right? But first, let us get into what we need to get into, which is making the instance. I'm going to go to server storage. I'm going to put in game, and I'm going to, wait a minute, no collision. Wow, I didn't see that. They have some new objects, which is crazy, but it's true. Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to put in a module script, and I am going to do this. I'm going to get this. And this is what I like to do when I work with my objects. First, I like to get my dependencies. Enumeration equals resources load library enumeration. I'll show you enumeration next time. I think I will do that next time. I'm going to show people what enumeration is all about. Local typer equals resources load library typer. Okay, so we got a typer and we got enumeration. So now what's next is I would say this. Sorry about that. Close resources, load library, and I will do PseudoInstance, of course. Now there's another one we can go over later for replication and networking. Well, that won't be later. Actually, that will be like maybe in the next 2 or 3 videos or episodes. We might go over replicated PseudoInstance and show how it can be used, which is quite rare, but it's still usable. So now we'll do this. Return PseudoInstance register. This is called a color picker, right? Well, I'm not going to call it color picker. I'm actually going to call it palette picker, because you have many different palettes. It's still a color picker, but with more depth to it, just like Forza Horizon 4. So now I'm going to do that. Now let me show you the sections, which I already know are what they are. So you have, for example, first we're going to go with, or actually first, we're going to grab this. Okay? So I think we have internals first. So I'm thinking of doing properties. No, wait, let's just do properties. Properties equals this, but I'm going to show you what we can do with enumeration. Just a sneak peek of what you're going to learn next week. So enumeration dot palette equals, let's just say brick is 1. Then you have free, which is 2. That's going to be the color picker. And then you have scheme, which is the color that we're going to go over today later on. And then you might even have manufacturer. Yes, manufacturer, as in-game manufacturer, like they have in Forza. So now I'm going to add some properties. Here's one way to do it. Typer, assign signature. What this does is basically it allows you to create a property that is a certain way. So in this case, our property is going to be a enumeration of type palette. What that means is it corresponds to this. So if it's a palette, it's worth it. So yeah. And then we'll do the function, right? Self palette. So this is what you do when you have to set properties, or getters and setters. You do self raw set. Works like raw set, but in the context of this, which is the pseudo instance. So it's current palette and then we'll do palette. All right. So what we have to go into now, since we did this, is events. And events are set up like this. We have palette changed. You can do that with strings. You can specify the names. And color changed. Also, we have palette setup. And that's it for right now. Okay. So now we'll do palette changed. Fire. Palette. Oh yeah, palette.name. Sorry. so it's easier to read. Self.palette changed fire. Okay, we got that. Now, what's next on our list? Well, we still have to deal with the color change, right? So we got to do that too. Current value, it's going to be value instead, so it's more, universal. Sign signature 2 typer color 3. Or actually, let's think for a minute, because I'm thinking if it's a color 3. Oh yeah, right. I forgot. It's gonna be in a string, so color 3 brick color. That's all we need, right? A color 3 and a brick color, or a brick color, sorry. And then we'll do a function self color self raw set again, current value color. Oh, and I forgot, there's another thing we're going to cover soon. Self.color changed fire color. And basically, it works the same as the other thing that we just did, except we add a color this time. The reason why we add color is because this is the value. This is what you have. It's either brick color or a color. Simple. Now, here's what we got next. We also have to deal with the, well, actually, no, wait, there's no more properties after that. What we do have to deal with is what I like to call internals. Right? So internals are these things. They're private variables. So in this case, I think, no, wait, we don't have to do that. All right, I think we can do it with just the methods. We don't need internals right now. I thought we weren't going to need them, but no. Methods basically are functions that you would use inside of an object. Functions are outside of an object. Methods aren't. They're the exact opposite. So, here's what we'll do. Change color. This function, color UI, and basically this is what happens. So, we'll do color. No, wait. Self. Oh, wait. Here's what we do. If palette self dot palette current palette equals enumeration dot current palette dot, I think it's called brick. Then, oh, I forgot, you got to put self here because there's no way it can be used without that. Okay, self dot current value equals brick color dot new color. Wait a minute. Color UI dot name. This is a string. Okay. Else if self dot current palette equals enumeration dot current palette dot free, then self.current value equals self.palette selection dot what? Well, self.palette selection. Palette selection is actually going to be an internal. It's basically the UI that will deal with the, with any custom coloring. So it'll be color.value. The reason why I say that is because there's going to be a color3 value there. You usually wouldn't see this, but I just do it anyways. Self.current palette equals enumeration dot current palette dot scheme. And I almost forgot, we need color here. So local color equals resources load library color. And yeah, so now we've got the scheme, then self.current value equals color, and then color UI dot name. So if it's teal, it's going to be teal. If it's something else, it's going to be something else. So that's good. Now, all we need is the UI. So this is how I would do that. Init equals, this is the constructor, by the way, self super init. Okay, and this is what happens next. We'll do local, or actually no, self.ui, and this is the UI, by the way. Let me show you that. This is what the internal is going to be for the main user interface. And then this will actually go somewhere else and be disabled because we're not going to use it. And this will be renamed to, let's just say, PalettePicker, so that you will know exactly what it is. And then we'll put that in replicated storage. Specifically, we're going to put in resources, then UI templates. So that will be resources get UI template. Like we covered last time, there's the plural is always used for the folder. Singular is always used for the thing or method you're trying to get the item from. So it'll be PalettePicker clone and self UI.name equals, well actually it's just that, UI.name equals color palette. Can't have more than one of these, by the way, because it's a dialogue thing. And then we'll do self.ui.parent equals parent. Okay? And here's the deal, what we have to do next. We have to initialize the palette. So that means one thing. Take this and we will add it in to the methods. Init palette is function self, and basically this is what happens next. Okay, so if self.current palette equals enumeration dot current palette, actually palette, sorry. Yikes, I think I did it again. Yep, I did. Made a mistake there. Fixed it. Okay, we're good to go. So if self.currentPalette equals enumeration.palette.brick. This is what we do. We're doing brick for right now, and the other palette, which is the, you know, the palette that we all know and love. So now, if that's the case, this is what happens. B.parent should be self.ui. Hold on. Palette content, that brick color palette. Content, that brick color palette. Okay. And then for that, we will do is we will add a few connections. So we've got the background color, we've got the name, we've got all of that, even the activated. So this is what we're going to do next. We're going to add in the part that we've all been waiting for. That's right, the janitor. Janitor comes in handy here because of the fact that this is a connection that can actually be misused if there is no way to clean it up. So keep that in mind. Disconnect. And then we'll do self.janitor add b destroy, and then we'll do b.name because we'll refer to it by brick color, of course. And basically, that's what we covered. So self.colorChange is the biggest change here. Or actually, self change color. Self.ui. Self.ui.info. Oh wait, what am I doing? It should be this. So self.ui and basically this is what happens. So we have that and color UI, of course. And basically what this does is I'm taking this, the parameter that we have in the method, and we're using it to populate the main UI. So then we have this, right? Each one is unique. So for I equals 127 do if, and we're actually not going to do that, we're going to do local bc equals brick color palette. Now before we go into that, I think I would like to look at janitor real quick because there might be some things that we forgot. Oh yeah, I can't do that, okay. Brick buttons will also be there. Self.brick buttons do if b does not equal color UI, then and then that's it. right? You would think that was it, but it's not. Color UI, if I can get to it. That brick border size pixel equals, let's just say 0. No, wait, make that 1 and the other one 0. Now next time I'll get into color, but right now we're just gonna make up for lost time because there's not enough time left. We're past the 40-minute mark. So yes. So that means we're going to put in B for this one. And that's it for right now. Oh, and I almost forgot. Self init palette. And we'll do self dot. Oh yeah, I forgot. Here's what we have wrong. Forgot to put in the palette. Dot current palette equals palette. Wait, enumeration dot palette dot brick. Okay, and let's just say we'll do self dot current value equals brick color. No, wait, we can't do that. It's not set. Alright. Okay, so that's it. Now, I'm going to rename this script to PalettePicker. And I'm going to test it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this local script back. And we're going to get rid of all of this. Enable that. Get rid of this. Local palette p equals resources load library PalettePicker local p picker, and in fact I almost forgot pseudo instance. So resources load library pseudo instance. I know this feels like an hour, but it's a lot to cover. Instance.new instance.new and let's say PalettePicker script.parent, and let's see how that rolls. So we're going to get started on that, and then once we do that, it should be good. Okay. There's no UI right now. Palette content. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, I almost forgot about that error. Okay, so now as you can see, it's there, but it's not working. Brick buttons. Just like to do that just to keep everything on the right track. And let's play. See how it works. As you can see there, the colors have changed. You can change them from one color to the next, and it still works. So, I'm going to end the video here. I know this was a 40